Chinese ancient mythology. We will learn the following aspects. Concept of mythology. The classic book, Shanghai Jing, Roots of Chinese ancient mythology. Common themes and features of Chinese ancient mythology. 1. Mythology. What is mythology? Myth and legend. Mythology is a body of myths concerning a particular person or race. Ancient Chinese mythology, a remote and mystical world, was created with the wildest imagination by people in primitive ages when faced with the unknown. It underwent the far-flung years of oral circulation until the Chinese characters were invented to provide a more permanent way of recording. Chinese ancient mythology is similar to modern religion in that they both believe in relationships between mankind and a higher power. Chinese ancient mythology, however, uses myths and legends to tell of these relationships. A myth is a story considered sacred and true to those within the culture of ancient mythology. A legend is a story handed down from generation to generation that has no real evidence to back it up. A myth is also passed from generation to generation, but it has more facts and evidence recorded to support the story. 2. Shanghai Jing. Shanghai Jing is an important book of Chinese ancient mythology. To some people, it may be considered as an encyclopedia of ancient China. It provides a lot of detailed information about mountains and seas, myths, witchcraft, and the religion of ancient China. The people of China have a rich and complicated ancient mythology that dates back nearly 4,000 years. Throughout Chinese history, myth and reality have been intertwined, historical figures have been worshipped as gods, and ancient myths are sometimes treated as historical truths. In addition, 3 great religious traditions, Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, have played a role in shaping the ancient mythology. The result is a rich tapestry of characters and tales, both real and imagined, and a unique pantheon organized very much like ancient Chinese society. 3. Roots of Chinese ancient mythology. China can trace its historical roots in an unbroken line for more than 4,000 years, and its mythological roots extend even farther back in time. From about 2000 to 1500 BC, a people known as the Xia dominated the northern regions of China. The Xia worshipped the snake, a creature that appears in some of the oldest Chinese myths. Eventually, the snake changed into the dragon, which became one of the most enduring symbols of Chinese culture and ancient mythology. From about 1500 to 1006 BC, China entered the Shang dynasty. People at that time worshipped many deities, including natural forces and elements such as rain, clouds, rivers, mountains, the sun, the moon, and the earth. Their greatest deity, Shangdi, remains an important god in the ancient Chinese pantheon. When a new dynasty, the Zhou, came to power in China in 1066 BC, significant changes took place in religion. People still worshipped the old gods, but ancestral worship became increasingly important. Confucianism and Taoism appeared near the end of the Zhou dynasty. These two religious traditions have had an enormous influence on the development of the most basic and lasting principles of Chinese culture. Confucius attracted many followers during his life, and his ideas continued to spread after his death. Reverence for family and ancestors is an important element of Confucianism. In 213 BC, many of the sources of Chinese ancient mythology were lost when the first emperor of the Qin dynasty ordered the burning of all books on subjects other than medicine, prophecy, and farming. This order was reversed in 191 BC, and much of the literature was reconstructed. But works were rewritten to support ideas popular with the royal court at the time, including that of a hierarchy in government. These changes affected religious beliefs, producing a pantheon of deities that mirrored the political organization of ancient Chinese empire. Gods and spirits had different ranks and areas of responsibility, just like ancient Chinese officials. Shortly before 100 AD, Buddhism arrived in China from India and added another important influence to Chinese ancient culture and ancient mythology. Buddhist ideas gradually merged with Taoism and Confucianism in the mind of many Chinese. The three traditions were often seen as different aspects of the same religion, having basically the same goals. Buddhists and Taoists honored each other's deities in their temples, and both incorporated principles of Confucianism, such as ancestor worship, in their beliefs. 4. Common themes in Chinese ancient mythology. Several common themes appear throughout much of Chinese ancient mythology. Among the most significant are the creation of the world out of chaos, the importance of nature, and the reverence for ancestors. Pangu was the first living creature and the creator of the world in Chinese ancient mythology. Among his acts of creation were the separation of the earth and the sky, the placement of the stars and the planets in the heavens, and the shaping of the earth's surface. In the beginning, the universe consisted only of dark chaos in the form of a cosmic egg. Within the egg lay a sleeping giant named Pangu. One day, Pangu awoke and stretched, causing the egg to split open. After Pangu emerged, the light, pure parts of the egg became the sky, while the heavy parts formed the earth. This separation of the earth and sky marked the beginning of yin and yang, the two opposing forces of the universe. Already, Gigantic in size, Pangu grew 10 feet taller each day. This went on for 18,000 years, and as Pangu became taller, he pushed the earth and sky farther apart and shaped them with his tools until they reached their present position and appearance. Exhausted by his work, Pangu finally fell asleep and died. When Pangu died, part of his body were transformed into different features of the world. Reverence for ancestors is another common theme in Chinese ancient mythology. Long life is viewed as the sign of the god's favor, and for many centuries, the Chinese have sought the secret of a long life and immortality. In the past, Taoists believed that magic potions could be created that would bestow eternal life on people who drank them, and that beings known as Xian gained immortality in this way. Both Taoism and Confucianism stress the importance of paying proper respect to elders, especially parents and grandparents, and the deceased ancestors are honored with various ceremonies and rituals. 5. Features of Chinese ancient mythology. Scholars and critics have written about the special features of Chinese ancient mythology. The most obvious feature is ancient mythical stories are entwined with history. The history of the long period before recorded history began is partly based on legends, which are interwoven with ancient mythology. Such ancient heroes and leaders as Fuxi, Shenlong, Huangdi, and Yu are all historical figures and important characters in mythical stories. Feature 1. They sing the praises of labor and creation, extol perseverance and self-sacrifice. One typical example is the story of Gun and Yu trying to tame the floods. Gun steals the growing earth from the heavenly god with which to stop the floods, but the god has him killed. Out of his belly, Yu is born, who continues his course. Yu goes through countless hardships, remains unmarried until he is 30, and leaves his wife of only 4 days to fight the floods, and finally brings them under control. Feature 2. They praise rebellion against oppression, eulogize the yearning for true love. The cowherd and the gold weaver is certainly one of China's earliest love stories. Many of the mythical stories written by intellectuals tell stories of how men and goddesses, fox fairies, or ghost women love each other passionately and sincerely. Such stories reflect, in a direct way, the yearning for true love when it was stifled by feudal ethical codes. Feature 3. They encourage good deeds and warn against sin. This is an important theme of the mythical stories produced after the Wei and the Jin. Their writers may have been motivated by Confucian teachings about humanity and righteousness, and the Buddhist tenet that good will be rewarded with good, and evil be paid with evil. All these features add up perhaps to one prevailing characteristic. China's mythical stories, either those created by primitive people or those written by later scholars, are full of human feelings. That's what we have learned in this section. Thank you for joining us. See you next time. Hello everyone, welcome to the course of Chinese culture. In this section, please join us to learn Chinese zodiac. The Chinese zodiac, known as 生肖, is based on a 12-year cycle, each year in that cycle related to an animal sign. These signs are the rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. It is traditional in China that when a person is born, one 生肖 animal is used to symbolize this year. 生肖is a traditional way in China to number the years and to record a person's age. We're going to learn Chinese zodiac from 4 aspects: heavenly stamps and earthly branches, order of the Chinese zodiac animals, number of Chinese zodiac animals' toes, and 本命年. 1. Heavenly stamps and earthly branches. The ancient Chinese people invented the method to designate the years by the heavenly stamps and earthly branches. Heavenly stamps consist of characters 甲、乙、丙、丁、戊、己、庚、辛、壬, and 癸, and the earthly branches are composed of 12 characters. 子、丑、寅、卯、辰、巳、午、未、申、酉、戌、亥. Combining each of the 10 heavenly stamps with one of the 12 earthly branches in sequence creates 60 chronological symbols. For example, 甲子、乙丑、丙寅, etc. These 60 symbols are used in circles, and thus each year has a chronological symbol. For example, 2001 corresponds to 辛巳, 2002 to 壬午in the lunar calendar. After 60 years, 2061 once again corresponds to 辛巳, and 2062 to 壬午. Later, people used 12 animals to correspond to the 12 earthly branches, forming the 12 symbolic animals, namely earthly branch 1 rat, earthly branch 2 ox, earthly branch 3 tiger, earthly branch 4 rabbit, earthly branch 5 dragon, earthly branch 6 snake, earthly branch 7 horse, earthly branch 8 sheep, earthly branch 9 monkey, earthly branch 10 rooster, earthly branch 11 dog, earthly branch 12 pig. Thus, the 子 year is the year of the rat, and the 丑 year is the year of the ox, and the yin year is the year of tiger, etc. Therefore, when a person is born, he has an animal as his symbolic animal. The year 2002 was a 壬午 year under the lunar calendar, also the year of horse, and so children born in this year are all horse babies. Even though the Chinese people now number the years and their age under the Gregorian calendar, they continue to use the symbolic animals. As long as people know a person's probable age and his symbolic animal, people can infer his exact age and year of birth. There are many legends and mythology related to Chinese zodiac, and there are various versions and stories popular in different regions. Why were there 12 animals in the zodiac calendar? And how did the scheme order come from? Here are the most well-known stories as an important part of Chinese zodiacal culture. 2. Order of the animals. This is the most widespread legend about the Chinese zodiac. The Jade Emperor ordered that animals would be designated as calendar signs, and the 12 that arrived first would be selected. At that time, the cat and the rat were good friends and neighbors. When they heard of this news, the cat said to the rat, "We should arrive early to sign up, but I usually get up late." The rat then promised to welcome his friend and go together. However, in the morning when he got up, he was too excited to recall his promise and went directly to the gathering place. On the way, he encountered the tiger, ox, horse, and other animals that ran much faster. In order not to fall behind them, he thought up a good idea. He made the straightforward ox carry him on condition that he sang for the ox. At last, the ox and he arrived first. The ox was happy, thinking that he would be the first sign of the years, but the rat had already slid in front and became the first lucky animal of the Chinese zodiac. Meanwhile, his neighbor, the cat, was too late, so when the cat finally arrived, the selection was over. That's why other animals appear behind the little rat, and why the cat hates the rat so much that every time they meet, the cat will chase and kill him. 3. Number of zodiac animals' toes. Many famous scholars in history had their own interpretations about this interesting topic. There was a scholar in the Song dynasty called Hong Xun, explained his thought based on yin-yang theory. Among the 12 animals, rat, tiger, dragon, monkey, and dog have 5 toes. 5 is an odd number, which is thought to be in the yang side, or positive side. Horse has 1 toe, also an odd number. Other animals have toes of even numbers, which are thought to be yin, negative. Snake has no toe, but its tongue has 2 tips in even number. Yin and yang animal signs were interlaced. There were scholars of the Ming dynasty who followed and developed this idea. Legends seem to be strained interpretations because the original intention had been lost over such a long history. Chinese zodiac was related to the yin-yang, 5 elements theories, and other traditional life concepts. Thus, it promoted the development of Chinese zodiacal culture. After having fun of reading these stories, we still have to know some facts. It is reliable to believe the zodiac animals started for worship of animals in the old times. And 12 most important animals in ancient people's life were selected to vividly represent the 12 earthly branches. 4. 本命年. One's zodiac year of birth, also called 本命年 in Chinese, refers to years sharing the same Chinese zodiac sign with one's birth year. 12 animal years are regarded as a cycle in the Chinese lunar calendar. So, every 12 years, people will encounter their 本命年. In other words, when people are at the age of 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, and even 84, they are actually experiencing their zodiac year of birth. One person may go through 7 to 8 zodiac years in a lifetime. It is an unlucky year. In folklore, it is a very popular superstition that people's zodiac year of birth is really unlucky. So, it is also called threshold years, which means a year with a lot of obstacles in life. Why is 本命年 considered ominous? It is said that starting from the Chinese New Year of one's year of birth, people will offend 太岁, a mysterious power, or celestial body that could control people's fortune. Impacted by this power, people will suffer either exaltation or misery during that year. How to be lucky in one's 本命年? Although it seems that people in their 本命年 are surrounded by crisis, there are effective ways to diminish the negative impacts. The most popular way to avoid miserable events is to wear red underwear, red waist belt, and red socks, which are believed able to suppress the evil spirits. Talismans like jade bracelet and the crystal necklace are also useful to defend personal safety. Jade, crystal, and gold possesses psychic power, which help to appeal to good luck. If these accessories designed in 貔貅 image, it would be much more auspicious. 貔貅is a mythical creature who can bring people wealth and suppress evil. That's what we have learned in this section. Thank you for joining us. See you next time. Hello everyone. Welcome to the course of Chinese culture. In this section, please join us